I'm making a video about something called the Panopticon. And I'm doing it partly because it's really interesting in itself, at least I think it is, and also as an introduction to a visualisation that I'm recording, which is to do with having a look at all the voices we may, or influences that we may be carrying with us that influence how we behave, what we believe, how we react to certain things, and really have a look at where they may be coming from. Do we want to hang on to all of them? And we're going to use the Panopticon as a way of doing that. But in order to do that, it's quite useful to have a sense of what it is first. That's why I'm doing this video. Okay, so what is it? It's a design for a building, basically, which was conceived of by somebody called Jeremy Bentham in the late 18th century. I hope I'm getting all these facts right. And it was for institutions. It was a method of surveillance for institutions. It's most often associated with prisons, so he thought it would be useful in places like schools and hospitals also. Okay, so what it looks like is a circular building, and in the walls of this circular building, the outside wall, there are any number of cells. There can be hundreds of them. So they're around the walls, they're stacked on top of each other, and each cell is very well lit. Now, the way I'm going to describe it is using more modern materials than would have been around when he came up with the idea, but the concept is exactly the same. So each cell is very well lit. It's excellent lighting, which is quite nice for you in many ways, but it also means that you are very easily observed through the floor to ceiling window that is in the wall of your cell that faces the inside of this building. Each side, the side walls of each cell are built in such a way that there is no way at all of communicating with the person on either side of you, or above you or below you for that matter. And it's quite big, so you can't really communicate with anybody opposite you either. So it's quite an isolated existence, but you've got a lot of light. And in the centre of this building is a tower. And the tower is so tall that whoever's in the tower may look into any of the cells in this circular building at any point. Now, the tower is constructed in such a way that when I look at it from my cell, all I see is mirror. So it's sort of coated in some way or another by a one-way mirror. When I look at it, all I see is mirror, but whoever's inside can look out in any direction, any and every direction. And what this means is, sorry, my glasses keep slipping because it's a really hot day. Anyway, that's an aside. At any point, I may be being observed by whoever's in that tower, but I do not know when or if that might be happening. In fact, I don't know who's in the tower. There could be one person in the tower. There could be no one in the tower. There could be 20 people in the tower. There could be 100 people in the tower. There could be loads of cameras in the tower. I don't know, because all I can see is mirror. So it means that for each of us in our cells, without the ability to communicate with each other, we eventually internalize this sense of being observed, because it could be at any point, and we don't know when we are and when we are not. We end up behaving as though we are being observed at every point. And this was the express intention of this design. We end up carrying our own observers with us, in our heads, as it were. So in a prison situation, it would be a warden. It might be a sort of headmaster type situation in a school, some kind of supervisor in a hospital. And for that matter, it's not just about the pupils in a school, for instance. The system can also be used by, say, let's think of an equivalent, by Ofsted officers who then observe the teachers doing the teaching. So it's it's brilliant. I think I don't like it at all. And funnily enough, the guy who came up with that, Jeremy Bentham, was quite a liberal, not in political terms, but what I really truly believe a liberal to be, in that he was totally against homosexuality being illegal at a time when it wasn't very wise to come out and say that publicly. He did a lot for the rights of children and women, and yet he came up with this. So something that is sort of perniciously sort of not so great doesn't necessarily come with the intention of oppression as such. He believed in it was a form of utilitarianism, the greatest happiness for the greater number, and didn't believe so much in individual rights. But anyway, I digress. It didn't necessarily come from a bad place, is what I'm trying to say. But it has since then been used a great deal as a metaphor for this sense of being surveilled, of being watched and possibly judged at any point. And most of us in the world do live in the kind of situation when we don't know exactly for sure at what point, when, where we are being filmed, perhaps, recorded. We know a lot of it goes on, and the majority of it is in the name of our own safety and so on. But we don't know to what extent. We also don't know who. I mean, it's happened, hasn't it? You've seen videos of people put on Instagram that they would not want to be on there. So there's a sense that you could be recorded at any point. So because we don't know exactly when we are and when we're not, we carry round this sort of sense that we could be, right? We could be at any point, and so then there's a sense that, well, we are, because we've become our own observers. And these sort of, they're internalized versions of external observers, teachers, guides, programmers, which can range from, family, parents or caregivers whose voices have taught us what's right, what's wrong, how to behave, what's means you're a good person, what means you're a bad person. And not only families, but friends, storybooks, television shows, films, and then school, and then the countless number of groups you end up being with in work situations, study situations, whatever, the society in general, the radio that's telling you that you must do this or you must do that. We've had throughout history encouragement from certain regimes to kind of inform on people who might not be complying. We've seen it very recently. I think there were sort of hotlines in various countries, including this one, I believe, where one might report people that weren't behaving quite right. So, we're aware that there's a great deal of surveillance going on. We're aware that we have been taught many things. But the point of using this structure, which we're going to be in a very serious way, but playing with in the visualization, is it provides a very clear kind of way of being able to conceptualize of who might be in that tower. Because a lot of teaching, programming, things that we've just been exposed to over and over again becomes unconscious. And there are two parts to it. One is it begins to feel as though, we talk about conscience or superego, all these many influences begin to feel like our own beliefs and voices. And when I say voices, I don't mean literally voices, but those sort of prompts that we might experience. Better not do that. Better not say that. It's more often a don't than a do. Though they might also encourage, go for it, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And it's become this sort of, for most of us, a sort of mishmash of influence. So we've got the influence from our past. There's also influence that comes from experience, whether that's traumatic or joyous or whatever. And there's the influence that is more obvious, but may still have been taken on board to the point that it feels like our own beliefs, our own voices. And some of that might be fine. We might go, well, there's nothing wrong with that. We've all got to be taught somehow, and I'm teaching my own children, and so on and so forth. And the point is being able to choose, being able to recognize what is an influence, what is something that has actually become part of my own panopticon that I carry around with me. Is this a voice that I actually want influencing me? Is this something that I'd completely forgotten about, but I still seem to be carrying it around? What is it that I believe? What is it that is my absolutely core belief about this, about that, or about what is good? What is the right thing to do here in terms of my own beliefs? You see what I'm saying? It's just about clearing things up. Like if we've got a big old jumble on the shelf, so we, like a whole pile of books, can't see the spines, don't know what the books are, they're just some big pile. It's just having a look at them and you go, ooh, I don't really like this one anymore, let's chuck it. And the rest we just get clear, so we just know what they are. And we know what it is that that is influencing us. We know what it is that we carry with us, and we choose what it is that we carry with us, and we choose what it is that we prefer to let go. Okay, so do have a look. Just look up Panopticon. There's quite a lot on it. It is fascinating. It's a very, very clever idea, and I hope this is helpful in preparation for the visualization. All right, thanks, and bye for now.